Niles, can you hear us? I don't think you hear us.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you. Fine.
Okay, perfect. So the one thing is I'm getting the audio just through YouTube, I think, and not uh through the Zoom.
Yeah, we had that problem before, as you recall.
So there's a little delay.
Right.
Yeah. So the one thing that I think is the best so the one thing to check is hang on. All right. Okay. Uh, hey John, it's Niles. Hey, can you? There's two small things. One is check to see if the camera is on, because that because once you turn that on, it should feed the audio from that camera, and that's usually what the Zoom uses. Okay, right. I get. Well, yeah. But well, no, it's a different camera, but that's beside the point. Then also check if you click on the little microphone in the bottom corner. You should see, just check the speaker there, and I think it says something that's like the name of the camera, and see if we can get the speaker to work that way. It should be in the list. If not, we can just work with this delay. So on Zoom, not on in Windows. If you go to in Zoom, you should see the. You might have to go to the other screen, the big screen where you have it, and see. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yep. I see you have it up where it shows the. So do you see under it on the big screen? Yep. Yep. And then check the speaker there.
Now, are you from Minnesota?
What?
I said, are
There
you
should
from
be a little
Minnesota?
arrow next to the microphone.
What are you looking for?
Not the speaker, the microphone. Yeah, where it says microphone, and then there's a little arrow. Click that arrow, and then read to me what it says under select speaker. Yep, that's got the check mark on it. Okay, then what I would say is uh try to turn off and turn on the camera just one time, and then if we check that, otherwise I say we go with it with having the delay. On the back, yeah. Yeah. Okay, that should be fine. And then it should turn green at the front. Okay. 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 Okay, sounds good. All right.
All right, can you hear me now? Or you delayed?
I can't. I can only hear you through the phone right now. Can you click the?
Yeah. I'm gonna turn you off on my phone. Hang on.
Okay. All right.
All right, can you hear me now? Or delayed?
So I just heard you, but I think it's still through YouTube, but that's fine. We'll just go with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, okay. Kill this.
Yep. It's still delayed.
Sorry about that. Nothing I can do. We've had this problem before with the Zoom audio system. So, anyway.
All right.
All right.
So any of the 1/3, the quarter acre lots, and many of the half acre lots wouldn't be able to have a child according to those regulations. So we're good to go?
Okay.
Thank you. 7:10 on Wednesday, the 4th, 2023. Present are Jeff Eck, Doug McKinney, Jeff McIntyre, Pat Trainer, Gail, John, Preston, and Niles via Zoom. Sorry, I didn't finish you guys' last names, but anyway. What do we got? Next meeting is February 8th, 2023. There are no citizens here, so we don't have any comments on any items. I mean, is there anybody, I guess, in our Zoom that's requested to be or anything?
in there.
Okay, thank you. I guess the first thing would be approval of minutes, and I
No.
think that's what I got on my list here. What do you mean, no, Niles? Come on.
I think it means, is there anybody, it was a delay, is there anybody in the Zoom?
Oh no, sorry. I was. Again. There's a delay, so I was responding to something earlier. So
No worries.
All good, man.
I will delay my next step when I go to talk about something then. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Anyway, so now we'll talk about the approval of the November 9th, 2022 minutes, and those are on our backside of the agenda here. Terry had provided those. I don't know if anybody had a chance to look at them. I think they're pretty straightforward, but I didn't know
Make
if
a
there's
motion to approve the November minutes as published.
Anybody second?
Second.
Okay, so, actually, Gail, are you gonna type this up? Thank you. Okay.
Gail is taking notes. Please put that in the record. On the record, I want it. Gail is
Yeah,
taking
everybody
notes.
write that down, yeah. But Jeff Eck always takes very good notes, so. All right, all in favor of approving the minutes from November 9, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? And,
Sorry. Now we're really delayed.
But we are on YouTube. I mean, we're on our viewers.
okay. Next item on the agenda is, so we don't have official minutes for the October and December, but because Jeff had such good notes from those, we just, discussed, do we want to take his verbatim notes, review them and approve them as minutes, or do we want to take his and edit them to fit, our format? Niles, what would you think?
Is he on the move?
Okay, so here's my one thing about the minutes or those notes is I don't think Jeff put in uh, the move and second and motions for some of those
Oh,
items.
yeah.
So that's part of the official minutes, but we could just note that the board approved some of these things.
Okay. Does that work for everybody else?
Yes.
Works for me.
So do we want to, I mean, do we want to just take them as is? Or have you guys had a chance to look through them or?
Very good.
They are good, as Niall says, okay.
Yeah, I mean, there was a time past, John and, where, you know, the municipalities were being encouraged to have very brief, thin notes, just kind of in one vote item. That, I think we look better this way, because you get more understanding of more how things are working, what's going on, than just a bullet list.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, I think these are
Yeah,
very good.
so that's what I would say, to use those.
So October. You go ahead, want to go, Pat?
I make a motion that we use the notes from Jeff Eck as a minutes substitute for the December meeting as published.
And October.
And, I'm sorry, in October.
Okay, motion's there and seconded. Anybody got any more comments? All in favor?
And then
Oh,
I
sorry.
have a quick thing.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
So just before you can take the vote, but I just want to note the one other ones are the August minutes that we need to determine if we have them or if Jeff has notes for that.
And then we also had to determine that we need to do a better job taking minutes.
So yes, okay, everybody in favor of using October and December for our minutes? Aye? All right, nobody's opposed? We're good. Niles, do you want to start us off into old business?
Yes.
It's all yours.
All right. So the first thing is just looking at the speed hump policy. I made the one change that that Jeff had wanted from the previous meeting, which is to include a footnote about the way we do them using the police.
What was the?
So what I need in terms of action is just for you guys to review, and if you approve them, to vote to approve them so that we can have the commissioner's vote.
It's the last page of our packet here. Anybody wondering?
Remind me, what was it? What was the one change that we put in there? Oh, ghost mode, the ghost mode. I make a recommendation that we approve.
It is the footnote that says the speed study will be conducted by the Montgomery County Police using their speed trailers in ghost mode.
Oh, that's it.
Got it. I make a motion that we move the speed hump policy to the commissioners for approval.
Second.
Anybody? Okay. Any more discussion? 2, 3, 6, 7. Okay, all in favor? Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Nope. All right, that passes unanimously. Thank you. Niles, do you want to move on to the skate park then? Do you have anything?
Yes. So the main thing for the skate park is that as long as the board is on board with the design that we approved at the last meeting or discussed at the last meeting, then we are going to proceed with the next steps in terms of potentially bidding out the design and all of the things involved in those next steps with John.
I thought we already
Yeah.
recommended to the commissioners to go ahead and move forward with
We did.
the getting the design. We made that. We made a motion to go ahead and recommend to the commissioners that they that we approve the design concept and they move forward
Yeah.
with engineering study. So we should be golden on skate park, right?
Yeah. So just to clarify, this is partially just as an update. This is what we are doing, but also, yes.
So has I guess Jeff has, but was that even that was brought up at the January 3rd
Yeah.
meeting? Did they?
That was my response to your last thing there.
Got it. Did they?
Yeah, and everybody went for it, right?
Everybody's for it on the commissioners.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we're good there.
Okay, so nothing to do about that. Niles, how about the next steps for the bouldering park? I know
Bless you.
Jeff brought that up as well at the commissioners' meeting last night. And
Niles, you want me to run with this?
Yeah.
Niles, you want me to run with this?
Yes.
Okay, all right. All right, so there's a couple of things that we have to discuss.
Yes, John.
Okay, great. There's a couple of things we need to discuss about this. First of all, where you want to locate that bouldering park. Second of all, how big of an area would we want to use for the bouldering park? What, are we having 2 boulders, 10 boulders, 30 boulders? What size? Those type of things. And those are points of discussion that have to be made. So my first suggestion is to determine, I would recommend that you determine how big of an area you want and where you want to locate it. Okay. We talked about the possibility of using the center portion of the skate park. What's the name of that? park?
Dillingham?
Dillingham Park. And setting it up there. Then if that's the case, then you have to determine kind of how big you want to make this thing. And from there, then we can probably deduce how big of the boulders are. Now, I'm not a bouldering park person, so we probably want to get involved with somebody who actually knows like fall zones and things like that you need to help design this. But first of all, I guess the first question is, where do you want to put it? Do you want to put it in another park? Do you want to keep it with the skate park area? Do you have any ideas where you would like to put this park?
I don't know, my initial thought is that circle area, which seems, yes, it's central and it's near that whole area where we're doing it, but it kind of seems like it would stick out like a sore thumb almost, and that, I don't know, but
I mean,
they
they would have to level. They would have to level that down.
Well, I'm not sure that you do have to level it down, because I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know enough, we don't know enough about it.
Well,
I would think that you'd want.
Based on the info that was provided that we had in our packets, you know, I was looking at the concrete recommendations and everything. It's going to have to be level.
It would probably be level. Now, because I talked to, went through the people and everything, we'd have to do some groundwork in there. So, one thing that we've always been short of is park ground. Where would you put it? If you look at existing parks, we really don't have an area large enough to put Elgin's fully built out, Stevens is built out, Helmo's is built out. There's almost every inch of it is actually into some type of sports program, walking area. So if you look at it, this is the only one that truly has an area.
I'm of the opinion that I like, if we're going to do something there, I think the bouldering park makes sense in the Dillingham Park, Central Park. And my thought process is go with the biggest boulder we can get, right? And see if we have the area needed for fall zones, et cetera, to where it would work. And if it doesn't fit, we can scale down. And I don't think we need more than the one big boulder. When I looked at the other park pictures and stuff, it was one boulder. But if we go with a large boulder, it's going to have different degrees of difficulty and things like that. So that would be my thought. Go big, and then if we have to scale it down, we can scale it down from there. Just my thought.
And I'd like to add that one of my colleagues from the fire station, his name is Frank Velez. He lives over in Tamatoo, I think it is. And he's really active in this bouldering idea. And he has contacts at the Potomac Trail Club, the mountaineering section. He said they're all into bouldering, and they have a bouldering park. And also the American Alpine Club in Washington, D.C. And he said both of those organizations that would have offered to help Poolsville define a bouldering park.
That would be great.
So maybe they can, I have zero experience with bouldering park other than, like I say, a couple months ago when I was in Aspen for a wedding, and in their big open, kind of like a Wayland Commons area, they had this just enormous boulder, and it was all different. It wasn't just like four-sided, it had many sides and all these handholds and stuff, and there were lots of kids climbing all over it and whatnot. So it looked like a great idea. It was actually quite large. And the space that we're considering, I guess, is that front space in front of the dog park and in front of the tot lot and all that kind of thing. So it's longer than it is wide, right?
It's a pretty good size piece.
It is pretty good size, yeah. So I was thinking maybe, just in terms of being conscientious about the cost, that we start out with one boulder and place it in a certain spot that we have more space to add on as we go along, as we learn more.
Now, I was glad when I spoke with these people that actually having dual age too. We can do that in the same area. We have the big, large one, but there'd be enough room to have a younger person area for climbing. So-
In Aspen, was there one boulder or just?
It was one large one, right?
But it had different degrees of difficulty, I think, on the same boulder.
There were some little overhangs and whatnot. Other
Yeah.
ones were more of an incline.
More of an incline,
easier.
kind of easier to
There
climb.
were kids on top, and they were probably a good 7-8 feet tall. And they were just climbing all over the place, having a great time. And I also noticed that there was a lot of padding around the bottom, because you're expected kind of to fall off now and then.
Yeah. Those are my 2 cents.
So are the people that Jeff's talking about, are they people we could reach out to and potentially next month or within the next month, or whatever, maybe get some more information? And
Those guys, and show them the area.
that's what that would be great.
So I can contact Frank Velez and ask him if he can, get in touch with them and see if we can arrange a meeting time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And then if you guys set it up or, meet, let us know if we're available. I'd love to attend as well.
Yeah, same. Just to learn about it, anything else? Yeah, but you mentioned just now maybe potentially Wayland Commons. I think Wayland Commons is more supposed to be open space. I don't think it would.
There are some conditions within the lease, or not lease, but the agreement for the purchase of Whalen Commons, that certain things can be done, certain things can't be done.
So I think it would probably violate that, the concept of Wayland Commons. So I think Dillingham Park is probably the most logical place, but, if anybody else has got other suggestions.
Okay, so our next plan then will be to set up some contacts, or Jeff will work through the contacts, and we'll try to set up a meeting.
Okay, so the preliminary recommendation is to situate the
Park.
park
for the-
at
At
Dillingham
Dillingham,
Park.
yeah.
With the largest boulder we can get. Only because we can scale down,
I understand.
Figure, go see what we can hold, and if it doesn't
Okay.
fit the largest boulder, then we can always go back to
Mhm.
the drawing board.
Okay.
Sounds good. Okay, next item on Niles, did you have anything else?
Can we just get?
Not on the bouldering part. I think that was it.
Okay, so then we'll move on to the budget recommendations side of things.
There's a nice priority list on this, or a nice preliminary priority list on the report to commissioners.
The idea was you're supposed to look at that and put them in priority order.
Anybody got any recommendations as to how you want to start this discussion?
And I can just interject that in my memo,
10
which is
10 listed here.
at the end of the list, there's some updates to some of the projects.
Okay. Okay. Oh, in red? You mean in red?
Yeah.
Niles, okay. Very good.
Yes.
So Preston, did you have a chance to look at Niles's updates? Yeah.
So I think, just looking at this, I think Wayland Commons updated wiring needs to go towards the top of that list.
And John and I met with a contractor, and we're working on getting prices on that.
All right.
So that's moving forward. We're just waiting for final pricing on that.
And I saw the Stevens Park basketball upgrade, looks really
Oh, it's
good.
beautiful. Man, that came out
Looks
nice
really
over
good.
there.
So this is just me, how I'm thinking about this.
That one's done. So 7's
Is
done.
that the lower cost items for existing parks should be a bit of a higher priority, like, if we, updating Halmos the same way we did Stevens in terms of the basketball court. I think that should be at the top. And the bathroom remodel, even though that's not a lower cost item, that should definitely be up there just because it's something that we kind of had pending for a while now.
So is everybody okay with the wiring being at the top of our list?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll put that as number 1. Bathroom remodel is already in progress, so do we make that as 2? Just because it's already occurring?
I would
guys
say
good with
yes, because it looks like there's gonna be, we're about to rebid it, so.
Yeah. Bouldering Skate Park.
We can take the Stevens Park basketball upgrade off the list because it looks like it's complete.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Stevens Park pickleball court, that's already in progress. Do we have any more purchases we're doing for that then? We got the
Yeah,
2
we should
nets.
be done.
So we can scratch
Yeah,
that one
that's
too,
done.
We
then,
can
right?
scratch it. That's all,
Yeah.
the paint, markings, and the netting, everything has come in. So we're good on that.
Okay. The number 9 there, the Stevens Park lights, George Coakley was at the commissioners' meeting last night presenting a petition from the Poolsville pickleball players for lights for Stevens. Since I was at the meeting, I actually then took the next step and said, hey, instead of this coming to us and us turning around and saying, hey, can we have John do the study and analysis and all that? They just went ahead and said, okay, do the analysis and, that kind of thing, so that
Yeah.
we can then get more information.
Now, I just have a question on the Stevens Park lights. We have the tennis courts, we have a basketball court, and we have a baseball facility. So are we looking just to do one of the three, or all three, or two of the three? You see what I'm saying? I mean, once you put lights at one, the basketball people want to go, hey, I want that, And if Terry was here.
Well, we have a lighted basketball court now, though. If somebody really wants to go out and play at night, they could go to Halmos.
Mhm.
And if they want to play tennis at night, they could go to Halmos.
Okay, now what about the ball field?
Do we have a whole lot of
We
desire
don't
for
have a
people
ball
to?
field. I mean, saying we don't have.
Yeah, we haven't had anybody
I'm
really
just saying,
come in.
I'm saying, if
Yeah.
you go into a park, and if we're gonna put lights in, wouldn't you look at the whole scope of it? Why wouldn't we go ahead and do the basketball court? I mean, because once you put lights in one place,
The wiring's there, though.
they're saying cost-wise, do it at the same time.
Yeah,
It'd be
the
nice
the
to
one
have-
issue Wade mentioned last night was parking. Because Stevens, we lock, I guess
We do
we,
not lock any longer.
Oh, he-
The-
okay,
the
he was saying
bathroom-
we
The
did.
bathrooms, we do lock at dark.
okay, yeah,
That's
that was the one,
That's
yeah,
where the
Wade,
little issue would come about, how do we get those locked, when they'd be locked? And that also opens up to maybe hiring a part-time person during the summer months, to do, some of our local residents, retired residents that wants to make some money, have them come in. Because one thing over the years, I have less and less people that actually live in town. So I can't hold somebody here to 10 o'clock at night to lock parks.
Right.
I mean,
yeah, no, that was the issue we had several years ago.
because, from 3 o'clock, we'd have to pay them 3 to 7. It wouldn't be fair to them to sit here doing nothing and then, because almost the average ride now is an hour and a half for most of my guys to come in. That's just something
Yeah.
we got to think
Well,
about.
yeah, we can think, I guess, but I guess the discussion or whatever that they talked about last night was just to, at least for now, look at the pickleball court.
And I think the
Or
lighting
lights.
it really is a way to go, and especially during the warm months and everything.
Yeah,
So
I did,
I'm not
I walked
against it, but I was just
Stevens,
trying to say if, we put it in, look at the whole park, what we could
In the
do.
warm months, you don't need it. The sun stays out until
10,
9
now,
o'clock.
yeah, 9:30,
So
10.
isn't there at
But
some
even the
point-
fall, but you see fall time,
There has to be a threshold.
Yeah, but fall
for
baseball at
sound
night,
for
fall
playing.
baseball at night's fun.
and our lights actually go off at 10.
Mhm.
That's the latest we can have lights on.
Just as a side note, the lighting of a ball field is much different than
More
lighting
intensity,
a
yeah.
tennis court, a pickleball court, or a
Right, that's-
basketball court.
yeah, I was thinking that too, because I
And
walked
also,
around
The
Stevens. and-
requirements would be much different.
Right,
And I'm just being like, Terry was here, I guarantee he'd be like, hey.
right.
I'm just
The
Yeah.
firehouse has
Oh, I agree,
lights
yeah.
on their ball field.
The power company that used to rent the space behind the station offered to redo all our lights in LED, new poles as well, so
Hmm.
there was a ton of money
That's cool.
that they paid.
That's what's true, we go right to LED right off the bat.
So, being that's a smaller project, would we want to put that in as 3 before we start doing the bigger bouldering and skate park redesign and Halmos basketball upgrade?
Well, how much
Or-
basketball park upgrade, what did it cost? $15,000?
If that, well.
Or the Stevens one, yeah.
Nets and stuff, and if we go just the nets, one thing, but if we do the resurface, it was $35,000 just to have it resurfaced. That one might be a little cheaper, because it wasn't a double, it's a single.
Yeah.
I'd have to get pricing on that. What do you think, so?
I think we probably. Here's how I look at the basketball court. We should probably do that one. Then we should probably next year upgrade Elgin. Right? And then those are the only 2 left that would be need upgrades. So it's a low cost
Mhm.
item. It should be able to be funded through just regular park budgets.
So you wanna move that to 3?
This is my opinion, but I'm not opposed to putting it below the lights or whatever. I mean, we can do
Anybody else
lights
got-
third and then
Basketball 4.
Basketball fourth.
The other thing about the
Anybody?
lights was, it was noted that we need to get residential input on that,
Right.
so I don't know.
Yeah, well, that would be part
It's
of the
not
whole
to
process.
organize that?
Yeah, well, no, that would be the whole process is once we get, the initial, information from John, and then we'd have to have an open forum, to get the letters out to all the people in the community, the residents that are affected.
So Stevens Park
Want
Lot
to
is
go,
number 3?
want to go 3 there? Okay. 3, and then 4 for the Homos basketball. And then long-term is longer term, unless we can get grant money, would be the skate park and bouldering park. And I was thinking that would be last, since we've already invested so much into Stevens. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
That would be my opinion. I agree with you.
So 1, 2, 3, 4,
Skate park is 5 since it's in motion already?
yeah,
And bouldering,
6,
Yep, yep.
and 7.
pickleball.
Anybody have anything else to add? I mean, Preston, you had talked about trucks and all that other kind of stuff for support. Is that separate from
That's
this?
gonna be totally different, and actually Wade and I are scheduled to have a Zoom meeting either later this week or early next week, and working out some of the vehicle issues that have, over COVID and order and stuff, a couple things got bumped and moved, but I'm fine with the equipment.
Okay.
And actually, I just, I've also been active in, Joyce Brenner, if that's a green. Been in contact with her, and we are slowly, if we find electric equipment that fits our scope of work, we just purchased some chainsaw. We've just changed over another salt spreader, so we have 3 electric salt spreaders now. So, once again, I came off kind of hard the other day, that last meeting, because there's actually functionality. I like electric equipment, but having it,
No, I think we all do.
so it
The point
works.
is that-
Absolutely, yeah.
So as it comes aboard, Wade has been really good about supporting me about purchasing electric stuff. So, gave her a list of what we've purchased so far. And I'm still waiting before I get into a big purchase to make sure we have things that will work under extreme conditions. And that's what people kind of forget about. We do have, in the past, we've had 48 trees go down in the evening. We've pushed snow for 24 hours straight. So having equipment that can go that long with electronic technology is not here yet. But as soon as it does, I'll be the first one to have one. Like I said, I came up hard last time because I know, how many people have sitting in the truck 24 hours and push snow? I'm just saying,
Oh, right.
it just
Well,
don't.
that and
they
you
just
mentioned the
don't-
grass cutting.
Having when there's nice Ford 150 electric trucks, they're nice trucks, but there's no way you can go 3 to 4 hours pushing snow. That's just 3 to 4 hours.
And you also need bigger vehicles.
Yeah, bigger equipment, and it will get here.
Yeah.
It will get here, and once it does, we'll be the first ones to, seriously, I want to be the first one to drive a 350 electric down the
Well,
road.
so last night at the commissioners meeting, Jeff very well articulated everything that you had said.
And I'm sure the
Seriously,
fire-
you,
but the
I
fire
mean,
department's the
he
same
had his
way.
notes and he was explaining,
But
even
anyways,
talking about the 350
I'm trying to
size,
work
the
with her,
3500,
trying to
whatever.
work with our scope of work and everything.
Yeah, I get
No,
it.
Jeff, I
And
thought you did very nicely.
I came off hard too, but the point is like that mower that you got mowing your lawn is not.
It's not.
That's
the same.
not what the
and it does a
town
great
needs.
job on your lawn.
Sure, but it's not going to do a great job on the town because
No, and then
the
other
volume of grass is.
and the weather factors and hills and all sorts of stuff.
Well, then you were
But
even
with
talking
that
about the
said,
size of
once
the
they
deck.
do,
Yes.
once they do, we'll be the first ones to
Yeah.
get them. We've always been a progressive town, anyways. I mean, you figure pervious pavement, we were the first in the county, then the solar. So it's like we've always been on the forefront of things, and we just have to, sometimes you got to step back and look. Say, we got to get.
You got to meet the needs of the citizenry, and the only equipment right now is gas equipment that does it. And until that changes, then there's not a whole lot we can do.
6.
So anyways, get back to the budget. Wade and I are going to finish it up
Okay.
this next week or two. And it's just a little bit of tinkering. It's nothing major.
Okay.
On that
So-
personnel, same thing. We've got that worked out, about similar to last year, what I'm gonna have and everything.
Back to a parks and street things, have we, is the sidewalk priority list being executed on? Is there anything that do we need to include that in our priorities? We also have the lighting project that it seems
think
to be
that's-
going on still.
Well, lighting,
Isn't that all
actually,
in
that's been
the
pretty
budget already? I think they've
exciting
got the
here.
list.
The
Yeah,
whole
I'm just saying,
budget,
is there
yeah.
anything,
All town street lights are LED now, except the big Cobras, which we don't know.
yeah.
So we really have made great strides, and it really, I don't know if you guys have noticed driving around, it looks good.
I see
And
a little bit more light,
What's that?
a little bit more light.
It is, and, you know, one thing, our safety in the town should be paramount. You know, I mean, the lighting is going to improve vision on the road, on the sidewalks. And I think it just looked good
Yeah.
in general. And I wish, you know, what we did, we retrofitted some on Stony Springs and stuff. I wish we would have went with just brand new heads all the way through. You had the same style throughout the whole town
Yeah.
on that. And this may be something we can revisit later on if some more money comes about.
Continuity is
But it's
good.
going to save us tremendous amount of maintenance.
And if you have the same heads across the board, the continuity of maintenance is easier too.
Yeah. And see, what's nice about the LEDs, we got rid of the ballast. Ballasts were a tremendous headache. And normally now, it's just either a photo cell, which we can fix, or we lose power in the ground, and we have a contractor that can come do it. So it's going to save us a lot of man hours
Yeah.
with that. And once again, it looks good.
I think
straight
so.
out.
Nice.
And then I guess the other thing that comes to mind is the four-way stop there at Tom Fox and Hughes. Is that already budgeted in? Is that done? Do we need to do anything with that?
You mean closing?
Closing that turn lane.
Yeah, it's in the next repaving, sorry. It's in the next repaving cycle.
Because these are all parks things. Do we have any street issues or street things that we need to?
And Patrick, we still do have two neighborhoods, we have to move the light poles to the proper distance. Now, the heads were
Westerly?
changed, and now we have to move them up to the proper distance. I don't know if that's on our budget cycle or not. Niles, have you heard anything of that?
Not yet, but I will check in with in the morning on that to make sure that it's in there.
Okay, thank you. And Patrick, another thing, I don't think we've had much movement on sidewalks that I know of. John might know more, but I don't think we have anything added right now.
Currently, the big drive is for the streetscape. The town did receive the $4 million for the streetscape, so that's a big push right now.
Yeah. I know that, some of these neighborhoods, Wooten, there's a lot of these streets that need these upgrades, and we've had that priority list in place too, so hopefully that's being put into the budget cycle so that, that there's grants out there or whatever, we're starting to fund some of those, particularly around the high school. I know we're kind of waiting on that project to be finished before we do any street work around there ourselves, but I do think that the sidewalks need a priority,
But we did jump that new sidewalk off at the end of Westerly.
which looks great.
That really tied in.
Looks great. Yep, I've used it plenty of times. Yeah. Oh, and then the other thing I was going to say is the light at some of our crosswalks in the morning, particularly off of Elger Road there. at the
And I'm just going to
church.
jump in.
Just give them a thumbs up so you start.
What I'm going to just jump in and say is just that I am doing some training on a federal grant for safe streets, and so I'm working on some of the angles that relate to some of this.
All right.
What did Niles say?
You're working on a grant for safe streets,
Safe streets?
It's
federal program.
safe routes to school.
Oh, okay.
All right. Good, man. That's why we brought you on board, Niles. Thank you.
Yeah, I think lighting around some of those crosswalks in the morning is super important just because it's dark. But particularly on that Elgin, by the method, because there used to be a light there and it's not there.
Well, unfortunately, earlier today at 5:09, there was a pedestrian struck at Tom Fox Avenue and Fisher Avenue, which is White's Ferry Road. And
Yeah,
that's not part that Poolsville owns. And I think we were working with the state to improve that crosswalk. Was there anything like
The
that?
actual crosswalk that was being worked on was Spates Hill.
yeah, one down the street.
Still, this one's by the Catholic Church.
Yeah, that was where it was.
Yeah.
There was a pickup truck making a right turn just after, past the Catholic church, and it looks like the lady was crossing her person. I'm not sure if it was a lady or man, but drove by. Person was still laying in the road, and the police were there and all. But it looks like the pickup truck was turning and you get the list.
She was
Person,
turning onto Bud?
no,
No,
onto Tom
Tom
Fox.
Fox.
Tom Fox from Fisher, and the church would be right on your right. So like they were going out of town.
Crossing across Tom Fox.
Yes.
Is that even, do we even have a crosswalk?
There's a bus stop over there.
There is a painted crosswalk there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this was definitely
And that's
driver.
fairly well lit, I think. No?
No, but it had during daylight.
And it was like right at 5 o'clock or so,
5:09,
Right,
5:09. It was,
right when the sun's going down, and
You just
yeah.
say, it's my house is right in that corner, except for it goes up to Fisher, that's why. So that if you get a better perspective, oh, that's where it is, that's where it is.
There's a house
Yeah,
with
it's
the
right-
flag.
right there.
Yeah, yeah, and the other house with the other flag is the parsonage.
Oh, yes, right, yeah.
Yeah, we both have one.
Right, okay.
So at one point, we were talking about flashing lights too at Wooton and Fisher. Did we ever, or wasn't that where it was, or, yeah, they're done?
Those are done.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I don't drive through there in the morning, so I don't see it.
Because that's a dark-haired man. And we cut a tree down, which improves the lighting there too.
Oh, that makes a big difference.
And, so that has a light, one corner has a town light on the other corner, and it's with the flashing lights, it's really, as long as people use it.
Right.
You can't believe how many.
Trust me, I just see people step out in this road without using that thing.
But anyways, that's where we're at on the cross.
Just get back to, what Niles had mentioned that if we do something in Stevens with the lights, what, I guess it would be to John, what would be our timing, do you think? Would we schedule a February, I'm thinking February's quick, that's a couple weeks from now, but
I mean,
would it be like March where we would let
We'd probably come
neighbors
back.
know?
It's hard to say because we've got to determine exactly what we need to do.
Right.
So I'm thinking it's probably a 3 to 4 month process because we've got to work with companies like Musco and they can do the photo analysis. Photometrics is what they call it.
Okay.
And then we'll come with something and we'll look at it, determine, and one of the things that we want to make sure we're not going to really have a hard impact on is the neighbors.
Right.
On lighting up their property.
That's what I was,
So-
I was thinking we need to at some point, let them know and invite them in here
Yeah,
to.
once we have something that's consolidated and we know where we're going, then we can come in.
So a couple months is what we're,
I would say, just to be safe, 3 to 4 months.
okay. Yeah, just figured that way we all know.
Are those lights, would those lights be run off the solar array?
No. The solar array is, you mean, will they have their individual solar cells or will they run off of the 1.2 megawatt?
Would it, I guess, would it be a net impact to the town in terms of cost or?
It would be an additional cost because the 1.2 megawatt is dedicated to 5 buildings, I believe it is. No, I thought it was 5. I thought it was the wastewater plant.
Okay.
Anyway, it's dedicated and those have already been identified.
Okay.
They're part of the,
Got it.
part of the deal.
Okay, anybody have anything for new business?
Do we still have the nemesis of people crossing at locals?
Oh, yeah.
She does it every day.
No, like I said, place you sign.
We need to get a sign that says Dear Gail.
Please cross at the sidewalk.
Yeah, but put a picture and no crossing.
Well, again, that's a moot point, I think, once this development gets started.
Mhm.
Which should be sooner rather than later.
Preston.
Oh, you know,
Or-
updated on
go
that
ahead.
real quick too. I ran into Mr. Willard and he said he's not married to any of those names. He just, you know,
Oh, the
it was
street
just,
names?
yeah, he just was thrown out. So,
That's good to know.
and we're ways out before, because they're still negotiating their impact fees.
Thank you. Superintendent of Parks and Streets report.
We had our first weather event, Friday before Christmas. We had, trees, about 8 trees go down, town trees on the plant road and out in town. We had several trees go down. We also did a little pre-treating because we thought there was a, freeze that was gonna cut, you know, it was all about timing, and we erred in favor of dropping a little salt. We didn't go crazy with it, but, and it turned out that it never really truly froze until later on. You know, our roads, the wind dried our roads, so we were good on that, there.
I think it was a smart move though.
And now we're just into, getting our winter projects done. We still, need to get our Christmas stuff down, but we've been assisting the water department today, and some other things have been, thrown our way. But I thought the lights went great this year. I did put in for an additional $10,000, make a total of $20,000 for the replacement of, some of that gear, the lighting is so brittle, I mean, it just trying to move it, it breaks, I gotta get it welded. So we will be upgrading our lights next fall, if everything goes well. If the weather continues to be nice, I will be stripping the sod off of ball field 2, and T-ball park. And I need to track down some ball diamond mix, and because those 2 fields were requested, the T-ball field, because the balls weren't rolling through the grass. And so we stripped that, and then the other one is being converted to make softball, for the growing, our girls softball is growing at a tremendous rate.
When you say the other one,
Ball field 2 is a 90-foot hard ball field, and it truly hasn't been used for years. And so we're gonna move it. The girls have requested a field specifically designed and designated and close to the facilities. And so we're gonna, as a group, we've already said, let's do it. And so we'll get that done here, February, February time period. And then, so that's where we're at right now on projects and, stuff going on. Pollinator patch, I'm meeting with the Monarch, the guy that wants to do I'm meeting with him Thursday. So that's moving forward. And that's the one that's gonna be on, right off Wooten Avenue behind, in Kyra Circle Pond, there's a little diamond in there. We're going to convert that into
I
a
was asking about those.
pollinator patch.
How are those, renaturalizations going?
Good. Well received by the, people, but they have, sometimes after a year or two, it looks, it's kind of in between the growth where things are full of, that's when you kind of, we got a bunch of weeds and this and that, you gotta get a little time, let the trees get bigger and everything. But so far, very well received, with that. And that, that does 2 things for the environment. It gives, to have different ages of growth are fantastic for wildlife. And also, it also reduces our footprint of, our carbon emission, because we're not mowing it, we're maintaining it a lot different, so.
That saves the town money too.
Oh, it does. And like I said, we have 3 or 4 areas now that have been put into it. And now with the pollinator, the next one saves about a 1/4 acre, which doesn't sound like a lot, but if you mow a 1/4 acre for 40 weeks, that's a lot of acreage. And it does add up.
I think we should take on look at the entire area that the town mows and see what we can do to reduce
Reduce our.
your time, energy.
That was something that we were gonna keep on old business, I thought.
Yeah, I think we need to do
we
that.
may wanna add
Because
that
there should
just
be
to
other
old
areas.
business
I was
for-
just thinking of that in Stearns Court. We talked about raising, just throwing in a pipe in there. And that way, or figuring out a way to get that back to.
You know, it'd be an interesting thing, I was thinking about that area. What if we did flatten it, but we actually put a pollinator patch? That's a long strip. in
I
there.
would 100% support that.
I think that would really be a neat way to, it would still act as a filter. I mean, the whole thing, so maybe that's
Absolutely.
something we could,
But I mean, just trying to cut that, it's your guys.
Don't you have to have big soil there?
it's a big swell, and.
It's a big swale and it's like
and-
it's like a
And it's not, like Patrick
It's
and I have
tiny.
noticed, it doesn't handle any water.
No.
It truly doesn't handle any water. So I don't know how.
I mean,
we
in
could
the
go.
big rain events, I've texted you. and
It's a dribble.
You can barely see it.
Yeah. And so I think that would be, once again, wouldn't that be cool to have a nice, a pollinator patch from that corner in?
Yeah.
I think it would look great.
I mean, figure out whether or not even along the fence line there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's that court again?
Stearns.
Stearns Court.
Just
Right
because
off
it.
Bliss. Right off Bliss.
Yeah. I think it's this patch that somehow the town owns that, that it probably maybe, I don't know, but you guys gotta come by there. That's what I mean, like, there's gotta be there's these little patches around town that's for somehow it was some sort of agreement worked out and
There's several of them.
that we should look at and see whether or not, hey, man,
There's
does
one
it-
in
does it make
Wade's
sense?
Court, behind where he used to live.
Yeah.
There's a little shot back in there. Well, we've been mowing for a while, and that's something I think we need to look at, that piece of property, what we can do with it, either sell it or turn it into a.
I think we.
John's lights on, here we go.
So, just to go how this goes, how the town ends up with these odds and ends pieces of property. This is what they call remainders. So they come in and they do a subdivision, and they end up with something that can't be subdivided anymore, right? So it's just an extra piece of land. Well, somebody's got to supposedly pay the taxes on it, right? The developer doesn't want it anymore. So what does he do? He turns it over to the town to do with it as they choose. Sometimes there's reasons that they can't be used, such as it's a wetlands area or something like that. Something like that. So that's how these little pieces of property develop and become incorporated into the town. Sometimes they can be used, sometimes they can't.
I just think if we go through that, if you came in and brought your entire mowing plan, and we said, okay, let's identify these areas that we don't want to mow, going forward.
You know what, Patrick, you know how we've always done a springtime walk through the parks? What we should do, and maybe in April, I'll go identify all of the open area. And then like in May, we can go through and just take a look at it and say, hey, this could be done, so you guys can get a good visual of the areas.
That's a
I
great
think
idea. And we could even Google map it up here on the thing and
Mhm.
And just
satellite view and whatever.
If it saves time and money, and it goes back to the green, like less wear and tear on the vehicle, on the vehicles and equipment. I think it makes sense.
Less man hours
And-
cutting.
So, so once we get really grinding away in our GIS system, that'll all be available, that data, and then you can determine, conditions and what you want to do with it.
Sweet.
Preston, you good then?
I'm good, guys.
Thank you. Jeff,
Okay.
report from last night
Yeah.
and the
Well,
previous,
last night-
2 weeks earlier, I
Last night
guess.
was interesting, wasn't it?
Yes.
So at the January 3rd Commissioner meeting, where you had two main topics, water quality and backyard chickens. First, we'll talk about water quality specifically, and I'm not going to get these words right, PFAS. Where do PFAS come from? Per and polyfluoroalkyl substances are a group of man-made chemicals that include PFOA, PFOS, Gen X, and many other chemicals. PFAS are synthetic chemical substances with special properties in hundreds of manufacturing and industrial applications. Perfluorocetonic acid, PFOA, is a long-term perfluoroalkyl carbolic acid, PCFA, a subset of per and PFAS substances that does not occur naturally in the environment. EPA has investigated PFOA because it, number one, very persistent in the environment, number two, found at very low levels, both in the environment and in the blood of the general U.S. population. Number three, remains in people for a very long time. Number four, causes detrimental and other adverse effects in laboratory animals. Examples of where PFAS can be found include cleaners, textiles, leather, paper, paints, firefighting foams, and wire insulation. Certain PFAS can accumulate and stay in the body for long periods of time. There is evidence that exposure to PFAS can lead to adverse health outcomes in humans. In March 2022, EPA provided information to manufacturers, including importers, processors, distributors, users, and those that dispose of fluorinated high-density polyethylene containers and similar plastics, about the potential for PFAS to form and migrate from these items. A great deal more information can be found on the EPA website at epa.gov. How does this apply to Poolesville? Poolesville regularly tests the water quality and sends samples to MDE, Maryland Department of the Environment, for testing. MDE reported back to Poolesville that samples from well number 2 and well number 3 contained detectable levels of PFAS. Testing results from samples taken on August 23rd by the Maryland Department of Environment detected elevated levels of PFOS, PFOA in 2 of our wells. PFOS, PFOA detections were found in 17.21 parts per trillion at well number 2 and 30.3 parts per trillion at well number 3. There are no current national or state maximum containment levels, MCLs, for PFAS in drinking water. The town of Poolesville sent a notice to all residents dated December the 8th, notifying them of the MDE findings. To remain protective of residents' health, well number 2 and well number 3 have been taken out of service after MDE shared the results. The town continues to monitor and sample our drinking water sources on a regular basis and are exploring treatment options. What should you do? There is nothing you need to do. You do not need to boil your water or take other corrective actions. If a situation arises where the water is no longer safe to drink, you will be notified within 24 hours. If you have a severely compromised immune system, have an infant, are pregnant, or are elderly, you may be at increased risk and should seek advice from your health care providers about drinking the water. That's the drinking water part. Part 2 is backyard chickens. Go ahead.
Is that that drinking water just from those 2 wells? Those are the only ones that have...
Bear along Luton, one's near the water tower, that's number 2. Well, number 3 is also kind of off Luton,
So-
across the other side.
Wait, we'll back up here.
Okay.
So, I recommend looking at the presentation that Kathy Mim, it's gonna be posted online. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
yeah.
Each well did have a level, but these were the only 2 wells that MDE had identified as the ones.
They were higher than
That's
all
correct.
6 or whatever
Yeah.
there was.
trillion is like, that's like the equivalent of peeing in a pool.
So-
Kathy
so-
gave an example, yeah.
So it's, think of a drop in 20 Olympic-sized
Swimming
pools.
pools, yeah, that was
Swimming
their
pools.
example last.
Okay,
time.
all right, so, the MDE, how you got your notice, I'm assuming you all saw your notice. They came out and made a recommendation that this.
Across the
the-
state.
It was, well, this particular one dealt with Poolesville.
Right.
Okay, but they tested across the state in various places. Okay, so, the town decided it would follow the recommendations of MDE to do what
But
they
there's no real
recommend.
risk to us from the drinking water. And we get notified if there is.
They
Yeah,
are monitoring
absolutely,
and
yeah.
will let us know.
And they're gonna be setting up a,
But if
I think
they're
Wade said
pregnant-
quarterly.
Correct, and also we are
Monitoring system.
looking at remediation of how to approach that issue.
Oh, and then one thing Kathy did mention, if you're concerned for yourself at home, certain carbon filters, can remediate this or reduce the amount of PFAS and the other thing, and then some kind of some osmosis or reverse osmosis filters can also. But her point was, make sure you really read the fine print when you're looking at those filters.
Another interesting point that Kathy made, so thanks for reminding me of that, was that some folks in the audience were asking, well, I'll just buy bottled water. Well, you're welcome to buy bottled water, but that doesn't mean it has any less PFASs in it, yeah. You have to check with the manufacturer and see if they know what the actual, what the actual
This is kind of a relatively new-
contains, yeah.
It's very, yeah.
One of the things that came out is the technology to do the testing is relatively new. So, the more you learn, the more you test, the more you learn.
Cool.
Okay, now I'll talk about backyard chickens. The planning board has been considering the residents' request to allow backyard chickens within the town of Poolsville. Poolsville ordinance number 224 currently prohibits the keeping of chickens within Poolsville. The planning board, after resident testimony and research by the planning board, created a revised version of ordinance 224, which allows, with restrictions, the keeping of backyard chickens excluding roosters. Because there is a proposed change to an ordinance, the planning board bumped the revised ordinance number 224 to the commissioners for consideration. Changing the ordinance requires opportunity for public comment. The commissioners scheduled a public comment for Tuesday, January the 3rd, at the commissioners' meeting, running through Friday, January 6, 2023. Many residents provided their testimony for and against backyard chickens at the January 3rd commissioner meeting. Additional testimony is accepted by email through Friday, January 6. Go to poolsvillemd.gov/291/town-commissioners and click on Send an Email. The town manager will collate and send all the testimony on the subject to the commissioners for consideration at the next commissioners' meeting. The commissioners will again take up the topic of backyard chickens at the next commissioners' meeting on Tuesday, January 17, because I think the 16th is a holiday, which is a Monday, at 7 p.m. Love, Jeff. If you have an opinion on chickens, send an email. Wade will be happy to receive it. Any questions on chickens?
No, sir.
Anybody got anything else they want to add to our meeting tonight? Niles, do you got anything else?
Oh,
I'm sorry, Jeff, you want to keep going?
Yeah, it wasn't part of my report, but actually, I was just checking my email before I came to the meeting tonight, and there was a contact the commissioner's email from Sarah Lamana. It's regarding the parks resort. I would like to request that the children at play sign on Soper be moved closer to the Brooks Park entrance. We bought, it says we bought our house, I think it means we bought our house. We bought our house at 17609 Soper last January and have two boys who would like to bike on the side of the street. Some cars come speeding up from Wooton, and I would like it if the sign was closer to that intersection. I would also like us to suggest a flashing crosswalk across Cull House between Brooks Park and the elementary school. Many times now I have seen cars speeding there when I'm walking my kids to and from school. Thanks in advance, Sarah Lamana.
So moving the sign's not a big deal, right? Or is it?
It's not necessarily.
Yeah.
But it could have been requested by the family to have it where it's at. I'd have to look at it. Where was that again?
The request to move the sign. It's a children at play sign on Soper, be moved closer to Brooks Park entrance.
Which side of Soper?
I'm sure it's the one, that side. I know it's
By
side.
Brooks Park? Or
Brooks
I mean,
side,
on the,
Brooks side park, yeah.
I got you, on
We
the
have a
sidewalk.
grass entrance on that side, we do have a grass entrance.
I don't know if it's the right thing or the wrong thing, but, we got this request from the resident.
So where did they want a blinking light also?
Yeah, we also suggest a flashing crosswalk across Cull House between Brooks Park and the elementary school.
Jeff, did that run through Niles or anything?
No, I just literally got this, just before the meeting tonight.
Oh,
Send it-
yeah.
send it- If you would, send that through Niles.
Oh, sure, well, happy
He has it.
to do that.
Thank you.
I got it as well just before the meeting.
Yeah, just for the meeting.
A flashing light would be right in the middle of those times.
Right, that's what I'm looking at, that's what I'm looking at here.
Or is she talking about the one?
Yeah.
I'll send it to you guys.
Well, there's no
Speed
flashing
humps
crosswalk
are
there
an
at all.
issue. But here,
Example.
that's the moral hazard you run into when you start doing one thing. It's like, oh, flashing crosswalks everywhere.
Speed humps everywhere.
Yeah, which is why we have a speed hump policy.
Yeah.
Now we're probably gonna have to develop a flashing
Yes.
Flashing light.
Flashing light
flashing
policy.
light policy,
Yep.
which we probably should. I mean,
Anybody got anything else? Almost 8:15, anybody got a motion?
make a motion to adjourn.
Anybody second it? Third, all in favor? We're adjourned. 8:15.
Else won't get the message till tomorrow.
Time delay.
Right. Thank you all.
Thanks, Niles.
Thanks, Niles.
Hour and 5 minutes. Nicely done.